Thank you, everyone, for coming. I am Richard Eder, the commander of Hesley Jensen Post 491. Yes, I'm using the full title, Hesley Jensen, because Hesley Jensen is one of the reasons why we're here for, because he gave the ultimate sacrifice, killed in France, World War I, 1918. And this day is for all the others that gave the ultimate sacrifice in service to their country. Okay. We'll start with the Mary Jo Venn. We'll do the national anthem. Thank you for bearing with me. Okay.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets ran glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
The United States Army. United States Coast Guard. United States Marine Corps. United States Air Force. And of course, the United States Navy.
Thank you. Let's give him a good hand here.
It is a veteran, not the preacher, who has given you freedom of religion. It is a veteran, not the reporter, who has given you freedom of press. It is a veteran, not the poet, who has given you freedom of speech. It is a veteran, not the protester, who has given you freedom to assemble. It is a veteran, not the lawyer, who has given you the right to a fair trial. It is a veteran, not the politician, who has given you the right to vote. It is a veteran who salutes the flag, who serves under the flag, whose coffin is draped by the flag. God bless our veterans. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commander, Auxiliary President, fellow veterans, and all other guests, thank you. Thank you for showing up and enjoying this wonderful weather. I was very honored when I was asked to be the Grand Marshal for the 2019 Memorial Day Parade. It was even more honored when I was asked to be the guest speaker. I'd like to thank the Bayport American Legion, Jim Menard, and his team for putting together an outstanding parade. I hope everyone enjoyed the parade and took note of the trailer carrying the casket that was draped by the American flag. Some may ask, who was in that casket? Well, the answer is simple. An American hero that served in one of the branches of the military that gave all for this great country. That is what Memorial Day is all about. It's the Hesley Jensens and the Mike Kohlers and the many, many others from the Valley that have given their all for this country. I invite you to ask yourself, what is the true meaning of Memorial Day? Is it a day to have a picnic or a gathering? Is it just an extra day off from school or work? Is it just a day to get projects done around the house? Or is it the unofficial beginning of summer? In a few moments, you will see the Bayport American Legion Honor Guard doing a 3-volley gun salute and followed by the playing of taps. Do you have any idea of the meanings behind these traditions? I have 3 questions that I hope you can answer. What is the meaning of taps? What is the meaning of the 3-volley gun salute? And was a Gold Star family member? In my terms, the meaning behind taps is good night or lights out. As a good night, I will see you tomorrow, or I'll see you when I meet you again. The 3-volley gun salute was their traditional way that during battle, both sides involved in the battle would know to cease fire and remove the dead from the battlefield. In my terms, up, up, and away. That great American is going to watch over us. A Gold Star family member, just say thank you. I was told a story that took place not too long ago. I'd like to share with you. The story takes place during a funeral with the burial being at the cemetery. The daughter says to her dad, "Are you going up to the cemetery afterwards?" "Why would I go up there? There's not much happening at that place," he replies. His grandson looks at him and says, "Grandpa, can you be serious for 5 minutes?" "Well, Grandpa, I would have to disagree with you. As you look to your left and right, behind you and in front of you, you will notice that there is a lot of history here. I can guarantee most of you have very fond memories and some fun or not so fun moments with those that are now here. That is what's happening here. As you see, the many graves have been marked with an American flag next to it. The American flag helps identify those who have served this great country. There are many local residents that have made the ultimate sacrifice for this country. Their family, as well as their friends, sent these great individuals off to war for them to never return home the way they left. These families ended up paying the ultimate sacrifice as well, as these heroes not only died for our country, but they did for our state, local community, and ultimately they did for their family, friends that they greatly loved. Minnesotans have served in all conflicts. More than 2,000 Minnesotans were killed during the Civil War. World War II produced the most casualties with 6,000. Korean War generated 700 casualties, with Vietnam having the third most at 1,077 casualties. Between Desert Storm, Iraq, and Afghanistan, the conflicts have killed 23 Minnesotans. In total, that's just under 10,000 Minnesotans that have been killed during these conflicts. Now I'd like to share with you my worst day in Iraq. Imagine a nice, bright, sunny morning in early June. It's a Tuesday or Wednesday. You're doing your normal work. And multiple times you hear a loudspeaker, emergency blood drive at the hospital. You go over to the hospital and you see a sea of people that you didn't even know existed on this tiny base. After handing up blood, they tell everyone to go back. A few minutes later, over the loudspeaker here again, emergency blood drive at the hospital. Again, many people show up. After a while, they tell us we have enough blood for everyone to go back to their job. 30 minutes later, over the loudspeaker, personnel with type O positive blood, emergency blood drive only. Well, that's me. I ran into the hospital as soon as I could. I got 2 people away from giving blood before they informed us to return to our duties. At around 1700 or 5 p.m., all soldiers on the base stood soldier next to soldier, one across from another, for approximately a half mile. And all you could see was 2 lines of soldiers on each side of the road that spanned from the hospital to the flight line. The mood was definitely somber. Clouds covered the sun. Very low chatter. Until you hear the roar of 2 Humvees starting up. It's a domino effect. With no orders given, soldiers start to stand at attention. The Humvees make their way toward the flight line at a very slow pace. One by one, both sides of the road, soldiers salute. The salute is held until both of these have passed you. You go back to attention. 2 caskets loaded onto a helicopter. That's when it really sinks in. You have no clue who they are. All you know is they are brothers and sisters that paid the ultimate sacrifice. 2 mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, wives, husbands, or children are now Gold Star families. The helicopter takes off. You go back to where you're doing. And that is when you start asking questions. Why them? What did I do? What didn't I do? Could I have done more? Can you imagine being one of those families, celebrating Memorial Day, being so proud of your loved ones that are serving, to only learn a week later they have deceased? I couldn't imagine what those families go through and what they go through each year with Memorial Day and their anniversaries being so close together. On Friday night, I happened to find out the names of those 2 men. Specialist Robert A. Pearson, 20 years old from Oklahoma, and Second Lieutenant Justin L. Sisson, 23 years old from Phoenix, Arizona. For me, it helped bring a closure to that incident. I'm not asking you to change what you do for traditions. However, I do ask that you take time to remember veterans and their families of veterans that did not come home. That, to me, ladies and gentlemen, is what Memorial Day means.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you for your service. And I want to thank everybody here for coming out and helping us pay tribute to the ones that gave the ultimate sacrifice. Thank you. Now, we're going to have the Anderson Elementary students first recite the Gettysburg Address, and we have Jonas Peterson and Helen Glam, and they're going to be supported by the scout that we introduced earlier.
7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we are engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We are met on a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field as a final resting place for those who here gave their lives that that nation might live. It is altogether fitting proper that we should do this.
But in a larger sense, we cannot dedicate, we cannot consecrate, we cannot hallow this ground. The brave men, living and dead, who struggled here, have consecrated it, far above our poor power to add or detract. The world will no longer remember what we say here, but it can never forget what they did here. It is for us, the living, rather to be dedicated here to the unfinished work which they who'd fought here have thus so far nobly advanced. It is rather for us to be here dedicated to the great task remaining before us, that from these honored devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain, that this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and that the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. Abraham Lincoln, November 19th, 1863.
In Flanders Field by John McCrae. In Flanders Field the poppies blow, between the crosses, row and row, the marker place and in the sky, the lark so bravely singing flies, scarce heard amid the guns below. We were dead short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Field.
Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw the torch, be yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, the poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Bill Eder, Perry Biederman, Denny Leonardson, Jerry Nolde, Richard E. Carlson, Eldon Nelson, Gary Cameron, and Roger Dahl. On Memorial Day, we honor the brave servicemen and women whose hopes and dreams were cut short in battle. They sacrificed their own lives to protect the lives and freedom of others. Noble and courageous and just. We remember them today and every day in our thoughts and prayers. Amen.
Amen.
Bravo. Nice job. Thank you. All right. Thank you.